Hey there, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share an incredible story about Dolly Parton and how she found her iconic style despite facing harsh criticism. This is a tale about staying true to yourself when others try to tear you down. Growing up in the mountains of East Tennessee, young Dolly Parton had big dreams that seemed to burst from her tiny frame. Her family didn't have much money, but what they lacked in wealth they made up for in love and music. One day, while walking through town with her mother, 9-year-old Dolly spotted a woman who would change her life forever. The woman had platinum blonde hair piled high on her head, crimson lips, long red fingernails, and wore a tight, colorful dress that sparkled in the sunlight. "Mama, who is that?" Dolly asked, eyes wide with wonder. Her mother tugged her hand, trying to hurry past. "That's just the town tramp, Dolly. Don't stare." But Dolly couldn't look away. "She's the most beautiful person I've ever seen." What Dolly didn't know then was that the woman's name was Eleanor. The locals called her many things, none of them kind, but to herself, she was Eleanor Blackwood, a woman who had fought her way through life and decided long ago that if people were going to talk about her anyway, she might as well give them something to talk about. As Dolly grew into her teens, her fascination with Eleanor's style only increased. She began experimenting with makeup and teasing her hair a little higher each day. Her high school classmate Vernon Tucker noticed these changes and made it his mission to crush Dolly's spirit. "Look who's here. It's little Dolly trying to look like the town whore," Vernon sneered one day as Dolly walked into the school with her newly bleached hair. Dolly's face burned with embarrassment, but she lifted her chin. "Better to look like her than to have a heart as ugly as yours, Vernon." Years passed, and Dolly's talent for songwriting and her angelic voice began opening doors in Nashville. But as her star rose, Vernon, who had also moved to the city to try his hand at music management, seemed to always be there, ready with a cutting remark. "No one's ever going to take you seriously with that ridiculous look," Vernon told her after one of her early performances. "You look like a cartoon character. Why don't you tone it down if you want a real career?" Dolly met his gaze steadily. "I know exactly who I am and what I'm doing, Vernon. Maybe that's something you should figure out for yourself." Despite his discouragement, Dolly embraced her unique style even more boldly. Bigger hair, brighter colors, more rhinestones. And strangely, it was working. Her authentic personality and unmistakable look were helping her stand out in an industry where too many talented people blended together. One night after Dolly had scored her first major hit, she encountered Vernon at an industry party. "I have to admit, I'm surprised you've made it this far," he said, walking up to her with a drink in hand. "But you know it won't last. People only see the joke, the caricature. They're laughing at you, not with you." Dolly took a sip of her champagne. "You know, Vernon, I've been thinking about why you've been so determined to tear me down all these years." "Oh, this should be good," he scoffed. "I think it's because I've always had the courage to be exactly who I am while you've spent your life trying to be what you think others want you to be. And that kind of living makes a person bitter." Vernon's face reddened. "You don't know anything about me. I know that true beauty isn't just what's on the outside, though I do enjoy decorating the package," she said with a wink. "True beauty comes from accepting yourself and having the courage to show that self to the world, even when people like you try to make you feel small for it." Years later, when Dolly had become one of the most beloved entertainers in the world, she sat down for an interview and finally shared the story of Eleanor. "People often ask me about my look and they assume it's just for show business," Dolly explained. "But the truth is I modeled myself after the town tramp from back home. Everyone called her Trashy, but to me she was like a movie star, so glamorous and confident. I decided right then that's how I wanted to look when I grew up." The interviewer seemed shocked. "And you stuck with that inspiration despite the criticism?" Dolly laughed her trademark laugh. "Honey, I knew early on that I couldn't please everybody, but I could please myself. And being comfortable in your own skin is the most beautiful thing you can be." During one of her concerts in Nashville, Dolly spotted a familiar face in the VIP section, Vernon Tucker. After the show, he came backstage looking humbled and aged beyond his years. "Dolly, I don't expect you to forgive me," Vernon began, "but I wanted to tell you that you were right. All those years I spent trying to tear you down were really just me being afraid to find my own path. Watching you succeed by being so authentically yourself, well, it's taught me something." Dolly's eyes softened. "Vernon Tucker, are you telling me I've been a good influence on you? Well, that might be the best compliment I've ever received." They both laughed, the tension of decades finally dissolving. "You know," Dolly added thoughtfully, "I heard Eleanor passed away a few years back." Vernon nodded. "She did. The whole town went to her funeral, surprisingly." "Not surprising to me," Dolly said. "People may have judged her, but they couldn't look away from her light. Sometimes the people we call different are the ones showing us what freedom really looks like." Today, Dolly Parton's image is iconic. The big hair, the heavy makeup, the flashy outfits with rhinestones catching the light like stars. But those who know her story understand that her look isn't just about aesthetics. It's about honoring authenticity and finding beauty where others see only judgment. As Dolly herself has often said, "Find out who you are and do it on purpose." Her journey from a little girl admiring the town tramp to becoming one of music's most respected artists proves that when you embrace your true self, regardless of critics like Vernon, your light shines brightest. So the next time someone tries to dim your sparkle, remember Dolly and Eleanor. Because sometimes the people the world is quickest to judge are the ones brave enough to show us what freedom looks like. And if that's not beautiful, I don't know what is. See you in the next video, beautiful people. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and most importantly, be authentically you.